Hi, it's Stephanie. Welcome to AGELESS. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome, everybody, to another episode. And I am so excited to have Rhonda here today. She is my new friend. And Rhonda, it is such a delight to have you. You are in a warmer setting, I'm sure. I'm not jealous of you today because it's going to hit 75 here. So they say. But I'm glad you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Stephanie. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm excited. And yes, we are having warm weather. And I love living in the South. I love warm weather, and so it is warm here today, but it's good to be on your show.
Okay, all right.
Mhm.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Yes.
You don't have to say Miss Stephanie. You can just call me Stephanie. I
Okay.
know that's a Southern thing.
Yes.
But just call me Stephanie. It's fine.
Okay.
Well, let's jump in. You are a very busy lady, a wife, a mom, and you serve alongside your husband as a pastor's wife.
Yes, ma'am.
That's pretty exciting and
Yeah.
pretty challenging, I'm sure.
Yes.
As we are focusing on women, what are some fun things that you do in your women's ministry to encourage the women in your church and those women around the community?
Well, so the elderly, we like to visit them in their homes because a lot of them can't come to church. So we like to go to them.
Okay?
Younger moms, I feel like it's important to try to, and I'm praying for this because I feel like I need to connect with all ages, the older, the younger, I'm trying to include them all because I feel like in my age group, I can glean from the older. They have so much knowledge, they've went through things, and I can get so much information from them. But then also, I have been where the younger ones have been, and I want to encourage them as well. And I feel like it's important at church to when I need help that I reach out to the older as well as the young because I need all the advice, and I think together we're a team. When
Mm-hmm.
you have younger, older, middle age, and I'm not here to say what those ages are, but I don't mind telling my age. I am 47. So I feel like I'm kind of right in the middle of, an older generation. And in my church personally, I think probably the youngest would be probably a 22-year-old, and then we have them in their 80s. So I try to establish a relationship with all of them, one-on-one relationship. And I think that's important. I think all of us can, together we can do greater things. More
Mm-hmm.
than myself alone, I need these ladies. I need the elderly ladies. I mean, the Bible says that the older's to teach the younger, and I want to be careful that I take away from them everything that I should, because someday I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
And then the younger generation, I want to encourage them. They're full of life. They bring new ideas to the table, and I just think it's important that they're all included.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what kinds of activities do you do, like to bring all of the ladies together? Like
So,
something fun.
yeah, so we've not done a whole lot since we've been here 7 months, not just for the ladies. We've done a lot of group efforts, but we're like, if we do host showers, or like we have a baby shower coming up. And I felt impressed to just uh, go to individuals and say, look, we've got a baby shower coming. Would you like to head this event up?
Mm-hmm.
And letting them be in charge of that, and have a part, and we have in the past done ladies' days where we would have a speaker come and speak just to the women,
Okay.
and we would each have a table that we decorate in our style, and then we would feed the ladies. That's something fun we have done. Just to be any event that we can. Right now, our congregation is not that large, So we're doing a lot of things as the whole body of the church, men and women, and but we do have plans for the future to do probably around Mother's Day. We'll do something, a Mother's Day tea or an event where we'll get together. And also in that, I want to do things that include the younger and the older
Yes.
so
Yeah.
that we all feel involved. And I feel like together, we can do great things.
Yeah,
So,
that's awesome. I love that. I love that. So let's kind of keep going. At You know that sometimes being a pastor's wife can be challenging
yes.
because not necessarily because things are happening to you, but you're watching things happening to your husband and
Right.
you're trying to shore him up, and sometimes you're like, oh, ah.
Yes.
But then you need somebody to come alongside of you.
Right.
In your lifetime, who had been some of the really strong women in your life that have encouraged you, where you can see some of them in your own life spilling out when you're talking to other women?
Well, first of all, I would have to say my mom. My mom, the first ministry role she had, my dad wasn't a full-time an evangelist.
Hmm.
And that was when I was very young. And so I'll have to say there were days when I said, "Oh, I'll never get in the ministry" from watching her. But then there were those rewarding days that I saw, and I knew my mom was putting her heart into it,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't look so bad.
Yeah.
But my mom she homeschooled us. I had an older sister and a younger sister. She homeschooled us. After I think I was 12 or 13 when my dad just became a pastor. And he pastored there over 20 years. He pastored. So I watched my mom. And at the time, I didn't realize how valuable the information was that I was learning from her. But
Mm-hmm.
she would be my number one role model because I seen her in the highs and the lows. And I saw her support my dad. And I saw how she handled herself with grace.
Mm-hmm.
She showed me how to not show partiality to women in the church because I know that that's kind of hard when there's always going to be ladies that you get along better with or that maybe are in your element, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
But
get
she showed me that you can't show partiality. You've got to be equal. You got to, you've got to show God's love no matter what. You've got to reach out to those, even if there isn't anything that you have in common. And she showed that. So she would be my number one role model. And then I have I've been surrounded my whole life with wonderful women. Two grandmothers, both of them were saved,
it.
and
Mm.
one has went on to her reward, and then one of them is still alive. But they were godly women, and they influenced me as well. The second lady would be after Mike and I first got married. I moved to Missouri for 6 months, and she was my pastor's wife,
Oh.
and I want to think she was about 10 years older than me, and at the time I was 18. And I feel like it was a very crucial time in my life. Moved away from my parents, and she would take me and spend time with me. She had two young children, so I seen that side of ministry. And it was a small congregation, but she pastored like she was pastoring a mega church. She
Mm.
gave it her all, and she inspired me at a very young age. The third person would be a lady. Her name is Gayla Williamson. I feel like she kind of picked up right off where my mom left off. And in those teen years, sometimes you may think the things your mom is telling you is not so cool. You know what I'm saying? You're at that age where advice may not be
Yeah.
taken so easily. But by this time, I had been married and was mature, but she picked up right where my mom left off. And
Mm.
I looking back, I see that my mom's teachings wasn't bad, and she just, I mean, just good things. I'll never forget sitting in, she was my Sunday school teacher. And she taught things like when you go out to shop at the grocery store, always put your buggy up. My mom taught me that, but I wasn't certain, how cool that was. Maybe I could just leave my buggy like everybody else did. But she taught core values that made you be a lady. And I'll never forget, she had a ministry, and she still does to this day.
Hmm.
She made cookies.
Oh, wow.
And her husband would visit people and she would send cookies. Your birthday, she made cookies. And it was just a wonderful ministry. And I gleaned a lot from her. And then the last lady is, her name is Carolyn McDonald. She inspired me a lot and still inspires me. She always had an encouraging word. She was a minister's wife as well. And I learned that you needed to have a good prayer life and you needed to
Mm,
encourage people. It didn't matter how sick she was. You go see her in the hospital. She had a word for you, and she inspired me. So all of these women right now in the season that I'm in, I can think back to things they have taught me that help me right now.
mhm,
And they've been very inspirational to me and still are inspirational to me. They've just, taught me a lot of things. Situations I get in, I'll question myself, well, I wonder what they would do, how they
mhm,
would handle this.
mhm,
And they poured into me, and now I'm reaping the benefits by being able to help others by their life. And of course, you've met my mother-in-law, you know how she is. And she's been very inspirational in my life because she raised my husband.
mhm.
And side by side now we're ministering. So I've had this wonderful group of women that have inspired me and made me who I am today. And I'm very grateful for that. And I'm sorry if I get emotional.
No, please be yourself. Please be yourself.
Yes,
This
ma'am.
is what it's all about. Be
Yeah.
yourself. I want to go back though and ask you a question. I think it was the second lady who
Mhm.
taught you not to look at age,
Yes.
just to. Why do you think women have such a difficult time just tearing down that barrier and just building relationships because there's somebody that has been created just like me? We might not look the
Right.
same, but we're women. Why do we have difficulty doing that?
I'm not sure. I think we judge something by looking at them and we're thinking, well, we don't have nothing in common. And I feel like with some people, I think it is going to be a challenge to find what you have in common.
Hmm.
But I, I feel like if you pray for the right opportunity, if there's someone that you're struggling with, maybe it's age is the barrier, maybe, there could be all kinds of things that could be the barrier in you becoming friends with them. I think God will lead you in the avenue that you need to do.
Yeah.
Uh, I've tried to pick up some things that like I started doing some embroidery. And I felt like doing things like that, I could talk with older women because most of them, they've tried it. They can give me tips, just something that I can do that will help me relate.
Hmm.
And I will tell you this, my testimony that I'm going to share has also helped me to relate with lots and lots of people that I never would have been able to have anything in common with.
Hmm.
And I think God uses things in our lives to help us have things in common with them. And I have met people that, it was hard to find something in common with them at first. But once you
Hmm.
break the ice, you find those things, the Lord will help you.
Yeah.
And I'm trying not to be looking at someone and judging them by saying, "Oh, we could never have anything in common," because that's
Hmm.
not true.
Hmm.
We're women. God created us the same.
Yeah.
And there are things about you and I that is just the same, and we can relate if we will try.
Yeah. I
So,
love that. Thank you so much. I love your energy and I love your zeal. You are probably amazing in your church, and I'm sure the women down there love you because you don't have, um, you're relational
yes.
and you're willing to get dirty, so to
Yes.
speak,
Yes.
with everybody. There are some places where that doesn't happen. You kind of
Right.
stay in your zone,
Right.
and that means everybody. Nobody really connects until it's time to put something together, and then you disperse. But
Right.
you're really a connective person, and I love that. And I
Yeah.
just thank you for your heart and your sharing and your truthfulness. So
Yes,
if the
ma'am.
tears flow, it's okay.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
I love it. I love it. Well, you spoke about prayer,
Hmm.
and this is where I first heard about you. I knew of you, but When I got the call from your mother-in-law,
Mhm.
I was like, okay, this is interesting. So I'm going to let you share your story. But before we do, your husband wrote a book about, um, I don't want to call it an adventure, but your walk, your
Yes, ma'am.
difficult walk through cancer. And the name of the book is Through the Storm.
Uh-huh.
It's by Michael Groves.
Mm-hmm.
And Rhonda's going to give a little bit more information on how you can get it. Excellent book, but it's a husband's walk. He's sharing his heart, which many times you don't hear
Right, right.
the perspective of a spouse.
Yes.
But this is a wonderful book. But Rhonda, I want you to share your story. I want you to let us know where you were and how God surrounded you, not only with your family, your wonderful, wonderful
Yes.
husband and your
Yes.
boys, but just he just enveloped you in such a way where when the floodgates opened, there was always somebody to rescue you.
Yes.
You know, always somebody to. So please share how
Yes.
God's faithfulness just filled your heart, your life, and just walked you through this.
Yes, ma'am. So our journey kind of started. Mike and I got married. We've been married. August will be 30 years, and we had a pretty normal marriage life. I mean, we had some struggles. Every young couple does, but up till 2020, we really had no major events in our life. We had a children's ministry. We had been youth pastors. We had been associate pastors. Um, but we were making a move to Georgia. We moved in August of 2020, and when I moved, I was having really bad headaches. And you don't think about headaches. That's just something normal. But we made the move exciting. We were moving to a bigger home. We were moving closer to some family. It should have been a very exciting time in our life, and it was. But as the time came, we moved into our new home. I was very sick, headaches, and I went to multiple doctors. They were treating it as a sinus infection because I had pressure and had headaches. This was all August, September, October. I think the date was November the 11th, I think was the date. Mike had went out of town. He works out of town some with his job, and all three of my children at this time, my children were, I had a 17-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 5-year-old. That were the ages of my three boys. I have three boys. That were the ages they were. So they were still all in school. And I was home alone and I had a nosebleed, a severe nosebleed, and I could not get it to stop. So, of course, I called Mike panicking, and he ended his trip and came home quickly. But that was the beginning of doctor's visits, more intense doctor visits. I had headaches, I had bad nosebleeds.
Mm-hmm.
And so finally, I went to the doctor. That was November the 11th. I think I must have went to the doctor 3 or 4 days later. And finally, after I think I had been to the doctor 6 times up to this point, I seen an ENT because they thought it was sinus related. And he said no, but to really rule that out, we'll have to have some tests. And I went to an old school doctor, and he sat down. He was in the room with me probably an hour. And by this time, I had high heart rate, bad headaches. I had splotchy skin on my face and on my legs.
Oh.
And he told me what he thought it possibly could be, but he had no way of knowing until he
Mm-hmm.
had these tests done. They did a random old school EKG on my heart, and he saw some things he didn't like. And he told me, he said, "You're not going to like me for this." He said, "But I'm going to have to send you to the ER." He said, "Because if I send you to the emergency room, they're going to do all these tests at one time, and we'll kind of get to the bottom of things." And of course, I didn't like that, but
Yeah.
looking back now, it was the best thing that could have ever happened. I went to the hospital and they did all the necessary tests. Within, I would say, 30 minutes to an hour, they did conclude that my blood was severely low. My platelets, well, let's see, my hemoglobin was 6.9. My platelets were 18,000, and normal blood range is 12 to 15 for a lady. Normal platelets is 150,000 to 450,000.
Mhm.
So without any thought of anything, they hooked me up immediately to some blood and some platelets because I was dangerously low. But we still didn't know what was wrong. I
Mhm.
stayed for 3 nights in the hospital. They diagnosed me with a platelet disorder called ITP, sent me home with steroids.
Mhm.
Um, I only got worse. I thought it was the steroids. You know, sometimes you take steroids and they make you feel really bad. And I
Yes.
just concluded that's what it was. I could not make it from the couch to the table with almost collapse, and I was so weak.
Mhm.
I really felt life was being sucked out of me, and it really was because of the loss of blood.
Mhm.
And finally, we went back to the doctor. After the 3 days, we went back to the oncologist, which you automatically get an oncologist because he's a blood doctor as well as a cancer doctor.
Mhm.
So I was fearful because when you see a blood doctor, usually on the walls, and there's all this information about cancer.
Mhm.
And the word was never said, but you just felt the heaviness in your spirit. I went back to see him and my hemoglobin had dropped to 5.2 at that point. And
Wow.
I was not losing blood. There was no, I wasn't losing blood. And I remember that day we had to travel from Covington, Georgia to Athens, Georgia to get a transfusion. And I remember the drive. I can remember the heaviness in the car because I asked the doctor, I said, so this pretty much rules out ITP.
Mhm.
And he still didn't say the word cancer.
Mhm.
He said, yes, it does probably do away with that.
Mhm.
And I just felt in my spirit, I remember just the dark, almost like a dark cloud come over you. And if you read the book, you see that Mike labels the chapters as like sunshine and then rain and then clouds. And this was the time when you felt those dark clouds move in.
Mhm.
And so the doctor concluded with that I needed to have a bone marrow biopsy.
Mhm.
I think I went maybe a week and a half before that was scheduled, and I had my first bone marrow biopsy. Very, very painful, excruciating pain. That was the worst pain I've ever felt in my life.
Mhm.
And they did that a week and a half later. I received the phone call, and he told me the news over the phone. He said, "The bone marrow, we didn't get." We didn't get enough stuff. He said, but we got enough of the marrow to determine that you have acute myeloid leukemia. And of course, I was devastated. Um, I knew people with that disease. I knew people that had died with that disease. And as a young mother with a very young child, it was a very scary diagnosis. But my doctor, um, he had faith, and that helped me so much because he said, "But it's not over." He said, we're going to fight this." He said, and from that point on, he told me that he was going to need me to go the very next day to Augusta Medical, which was an hour and a half away from my home.
Mhm.
And on my journey, the way they did it, they told you stuff like that was going to happen short term. They never gave you the long term picture. And so when he told me you're going to have to be hospitalized, I was thinking a week to 2 weeks. And I called my mom. This was during the height of COVID. So they wasn't allowing a lot of people to be with you. I knew I couldn't fight this alone. So my mom agreed to come. She came and took care of my boys, stayed at my house, took care of my children. And they said, well, we'll allow one person to stay with you.
Oh.
And so I get over there and they tell you a little bit about treatment, but they don't tell you everything. But they did some tests on me just to make sure I was strong enough to handle what I was fixing to have to face with chemo.
Mm.
And this was the second day I was there, and they did a echocardiogram on my heart. That's like an ultrasound on your heart, just to make sure my heart was strong. I mean, here I was young. I should be able to stand this, but on the echocardiogram, I'll never forget the doctor coming in, and he just burst through my door and he said, "We're moving you to the heart floor." And I'm like,
Oh,
wait a minute, I'm
wow.
here. I'm in a ward it's the bone marrow transplant ward, which is where they treat leukemia. And he tells me, we're moving you to the heart floor. And we're like, why? And he said, well, you have been diagnosed with heart block, third degree. Heart block is when your heart rate goes below 40, 30. And he said, you could die from this immediately and never even know what you had. And
Mm.
he said, so you've got to go to the heart floor and get a pacemaker. This was a hard blow on our faith because here we were. I was just starting to accept the diagnosis of leukemia and feel like, I can fight this. And then I was hit with a heart diagnosis. Up to this point in my life, I had been perfectly normal. I never went to the doctor. Being mom, you're strong.
Yeah.
You don't maybe you don't take care of yourself like you should, but I'd never had a sickness that I had only been hospitalized 3 times in my life, and that was to have my 3 children.
Mhm.
And so up to this point, I had been strong, healthy woman, and then it seemed like overnight I had leukemia and then I had a heart condition. They inserted a pacemaker, so that stalled me probably 2 or 3 days on receiving treatment.
Mm.
But I went through that really well, and I got moved back up to the floor where I was to be treated for leukemia. They started treatment. I was on a treatment called 7+3. It was 7 days straight you received chemo, and 3 of those days you received a real strong chemo. They refer to it as Red Devil.
Oh,
It's the kind that, the nasty kind, makes your hair come out, gives you all the bad side effects. They informed me that I would be there at least a month. So that was new news to us. We thought we were going to be there for
oh,
a week, maybe 2 weeks. They said, no, you're going to be here for a month. What treatment does is they give you all this chemo and pretty much wipe out your bone marrow
okay.
because leukemia fights your blood. It prevents your body from making blood. So therefore, that was the cause of the high heart rate. My body didn't have enough blood, and my heart was trying to pump it around in my body, and that was the reason for all that.
Mm.
And so they started treatment, and for the week of treatment, I feel like I did really, really well. And it was the week after you started seeing symptoms. I feel like I had a new symptom almost daily. But you know what? Through this time, every step I saw God's faithfulness to me. We would have something that we needed prayer about. We would ask our church group and to pray for me, and the Lord would move. And he started sending people my way. I have a new appreciation for nurses and
Mm.
doctors. Uh, some of them were like angels to me. They ministered to me. Grant, my pastor couldn't come, my church family couldn't come, and although they couldn't come see me in person on Christmas Eve, my church family came and stood outside my window. They
Oh,
actually stood on top of the garage there, the car garage where I could see them, and they sang Christmas carols to me. I
oh,
forget how many of them it was, but just and what's crazy about that is a television channel came out and videoed them and showing God's love to me during my
mhm.
time. And it was just a way, the Lord was using us to, and I realized this. At first I didn't. I'm normal. I ask why. I ask why now? Why me? I had visited many people with cancer, knew many people with cancer. And I know to have a testimony, you have to have a test, but
Mm.
I didn't see that being me. But God had other plans. And about halfway through the treatment, probably 2 weeks in, I realized this. Uh, there were people on that floor that was way worse off than me. There was people there alone that didn't have anybody. And I felt God was using this, using me to be a light and to proclaim his faithfulness to someone maybe that didn't know it. The nurses, I got discharged from the hospital. It took it a while because what they do is they treat you, they take your blood every day. If your body is lacking anything, they
Mhm.
give you that. They keep you strong so you can fight. And then they wipe out all your numbers, and then they wait for your numbers to rise. And there's a number, I think it's called neutrophils, that has to rise in your white blood count for you to be able to fight off infection. That's what they were waiting on. Those numbers had to rise before I could go home.
Mm.
And so it was 33 days that I stayed, and then I got to go home. And then after the 33 days of treatment, for 5 months, 4 months of that was treatment. I would go back once a month and have 3 nights, 4 days stay and get more chemo. That time was actually worse than the 33 days.
Mm.
The reason being is they would give me the chemo and then I would be sent home. So nobody was daily taking my blood to see what I needed. I had to go off how I felt. And so
Oh.
during those 4 months, I was put in the hospital several times. They really stress if you run fever, you need to get to the doctor immediately because a lot of people die just from infection. I mean, it is from the leukemia, but it's because your body can't fight off just normal things. God was so faithful to me through this journey. I had numerous blood transfusions, numerous platelet transfusions, all the while. Going back to the monthly visits I had, I would kind of be selfish and say during those visits I stayed by myself because Mike had to take care of the boys.
Hmm.
Um, and I would be selfish and say, "Oh, I hope so and so's my nurse when I get there." And because they had became my family, and I would get there and I would have a new nurse.
Yeah.
But I found out that that was just another way for me to share how God had been faithful to me because this new nurse didn't know me. She didn't know my story.
Hmm.
And I would get to tell them all over again. I had nurses that would say, I have some more patients to take care of, but when I get done, I'm gonna come back. And I
Oh.
want you to finish telling what God has done for you and how He's helped you and how He ordered our steps from our move to Georgia. I really feel we moved to Georgia so that I could go through this process there, have the
Mm.
doctors I had and the nurses I had. He was ordering our steps and we didn't even know it. We didn't know the reason. But hindsight, you see now, God ordered all that. I shared my testimony with people at the ER, people, and I'm by nature, I feel I'm shy and I don't just voluntarily tell information. But when you're sick, people ask questions.
Yeah.
And they could tell I was sick. I didn't have hair. I didn't, my color wasn't good. And I shared my testimony. But God was so faithful to me through every step and let me share with others how faithful He was to me. And I took a chemo pill for 8 months.
Mm.
There was low times there too. It made me sick, and God was faithful. He was faithful to me, and I can't thank Him enough for how He's helped me and how He's just helped our family. My husband, I had a wonderful support with him. I will say that that is when we bought an air fryer. Mike learned how to cook with the air fryer. It was some trying times. You're the being the only woman in the house. I had to go home and lay in the bed while they took care of everything. That was hard. Not that they couldn't do it, but I felt like that was my responsibility, and I couldn't even hardly fold clothes, wash clothes. I couldn't cook.
Hmm.
But my husband learned how to do every single chore. And he still does some of them now to help out. But I'm forever grateful for the support team I had. When you get married, you say for better or for worse, but you don't know how that's going to be tried.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
but God was faithful to me. I'm gonna try to see the date it was. Wednesday, May 12th. This was during my 4 final treatment. Those treatments that I had each month were called HIDAC treatments. My doctor would come and visit me each
Oh,
time. And he came that time, and I'll never forget the words he said to me. He said, I feel you are cured of leukemia. And I was so grateful to hear those words. Um, just so, God had been so good to me to let, yeah, some people say, well, why did you have to go through all those dark days? I don't understand why. But he used medicine, he used doctors, he used nurses to help in my healing process. I have no doubt if God wanted to, he could have healed me in October and September, but he chose to let me go through this so that I have a story to share. And I wondered how I was going to share my testimony now that I'm well, and that I don't just randomly go up to somebody and say, "Let me tell you my story." That's
mhm.
kind of rude. But now the Lord's blessed me with a good head full of hair. And I told my sons, I said, now when people comment on my hair, I have to tell them because
Yes.
this is God-given hair. I lost every bit of it. It came back. This is the hair God gave me. I've always loved big hair. I wanted big hair. People with me, I had big, robust, and curls.
Oh,
And every time somebody said, your hair is beautiful, I would say, listen, you have a few minutes.
yeah.
I need to share with you my testimony. And who knows? I don't know if those people were believers, but they heard the testimony, the message of God's faithfulness to me.
Hmm.
And even today, I had to, even now, here where we're living, I had to establish a new relationship with a new doctor because I go
Mm.
every 6 months. And the compassion that I have now for people that have cancer, not just my type of cancer, just cancer.
Yeah.
Um, I just have a bond with them, even if I don't know them. I know somewhat what they're feeling, how they feel. The last time I went to the doctor, I was had to wait for some blood work to come back, and I noticed an elderly lady who was very upset
Mm.
and crying. And I wasn't being nosy. I didn't ask any questions. As a matter of fact, she did. She
Oh,
said, "What are you here for?" She said, Are you here for you, or are you here for someone else?" And I said, "No, ma'am, I'm here for myself." And I shared a little bit. She said, "You're not going to believe this." She said, "My husband is having a bone marrow right now as we speak, and they're testing him for leukemia."
oh,
And she said, "Are you living a normal life?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I am." I said, "I'm living a normal life." I told her about my family. I told her the things that I'm involved in and how active I am. She got up, come across to where I was sitting. She said, "Can I give you a hug?" I
oh,
said, "Yes, ma'am, you can. You can give me a hug."
yeah.
And I'm grateful for the opportunity. It's nothing about me or what I went through, but if I can give him glory for what he's done for me and then encourage someone else on their journey, that's what I want to do because I feel like that is why I went through that. And
Mm.
I hope nobody else has to go through that. But God used it in my life for me to be more compassionate,
Yeah.
I told you that being sick, I feel like there's a greater connection. People want to talk about that. They either have family members or they've went through it and they want to talk about that. And although I don't know everything there is to know, even about my diagnosis, I know what I went through. I know what chemo can do. I know what it can do to family members. And we've tried to, you talked about the book, anybody we know of. I have people who will send me messages and say, this girl's your age and she's been diagnosed with leukemia. Will you reach out to her? And in the past, I would have been like, I don't know this person. They don't want to hear from me, but no questions about it. I go after it full throttle because I feel like I can relate. I know how they feel. And I feel like if God can take my pain and work it for my good so that I can tell others about his goodness
Mm.
in my life, I want to do that. And I've had numerous conversations in the checkout line at Walmart, just shopping. And right there, I can just share the goodness, faithfulness of God to me. It's nothing about me. It's not about me. It's about him. It's what he's done for us. And
Mm.
I want to make sure I give him the honor and glory for all he's done for me. There's a song uh, that's playing on the radio right now, and it's called I'm a Living, Breathing, Walking Testimony. And it says, I'm a living proof of what the Lord has done. You may call me crazy, but you can't take away my story because I'm a living, breathing, walking testimony. It has a bridge and it says, look what the Lord has done. Look what the Lord has done. That's what he's done for me. He's given me a testimony, and I don't want to ever fail to share it. I get nervous. I've had some engagements to speak at ladies' days, and and I think back, no, he's given me a testimony. I have got to do my best to share it and encourage somebody else. I feel like every woman has a testimony
Mm,
that can help someone else. No matter what it is, maybe you've not been sick, but you've been through something that maybe I've not been through that I can learn from you. And I feel like it's important that you share those things with one another and encourage each other with that. And that's what I hope to be. You talked about Mike's book. I never imagined a book would come from this. And it is his perspective. It is my story, but I had someone tell me that they want him to write a sequel, and I was like, now wait a minute. A sequel would be okay, but I'm the main character in this book, and I don't want to go through I don't want to go through anything else for him to have. He needs to get a new subject. But um, uh, I didn't know his side or how he felt
mhm,
until he wrote that book. And I didn't read any of it when it was published and we got it in the mail. I sat down and read his story. And it was so real because it was my story, but it wasn't from my point of view. It was his point of view and how he handled it. And God was faithful to him too. The
mhm,
book talks about, how his faith was tested and how our faith was tested, but God has proven faithful to us over and over again. If
mhm,
if he never does anything else for me, which we know he daily loads us with benefits, but if he never does anything for me, just salvation alone, healing through this is enough.
mhm,
And I want to give him all the praise. And I hope sometimes when I get nervous, I talk too much. Hopefully, I've not talked too much, not shared too much. If you have any questions, I will answer them. But God has been faithful to me. He's been faithful to our whole family. And I want to give him all the praise and honor. And hopefully, I can encourage someone else. Whatever you're going through, look at it as a time for you to have a story to share with
mhm,
someone and to encourage other people.
mhm, mhm. Well, never let it be said that you're shy because that's not true. You
Right,
are not shy. Excuse me. You did wonderfully well. That was wonderful and not what you went through.
right.
But your heart is in it.
Yeah.
You let Christ just shine through the heartache. One thing that I really appreciated was your truthfulness because it was difficult. Some people,
Yeah,
when they go through things, they don't remember the hard times. They just look at the after.
right.
But God wants us sometimes to say, hey, that hurts. I
Yes,
don't like this.
right.
I mean, God is a big guy. He can take what we have to say. I really appreciate what you said and
Mhm.
how he placed doctors in your lives and
Yes,
your life and how he surrounded you with a different nurse
yes, yes.
at
I met
nighttime.
many nurses techs, but you know what? Every single one of them was put there for a reason,
Yeah,
whether it was to encourage me or for me to encourage them.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So you never know, like you
No,
said, that
you don't.
woman that was at the hospital
Yeah,
waiting because her husband, you saw her.
right.
You didn't know that it was going to be for
No,
what you went through.
no.
So we never know how God is going to use what we've gone through. We just have to be willing to be used.
Yes,
And
I agree.
sometimes we don't want to be used.
Right.
But thank you for sharing that. I'm just grateful. When you have a hand in prayer for a situation
Yes.
or something, and you see God work, it's like, yes. And
Yes.
so I am grateful to
Yes, I've
see
had
you.
many people say, "I didn't know you, but I prayed for you. You were," and you know what? That's why I made it. That's why I made it to the other side of the storm was people praying for me all over that didn't know me, didn't know what I looked like, you know.
Yeah,
They prayed for me and I felt those prayers. I want
yeah.
to say this too. Uh, Women encouraging women. I received cards, messages from people that I knew but didn't really know. They let God use them. When someone encourages you to send somebody a note, a card, a message, don't ever hesitate. It's going to be in the right moment when they need it because I've experienced it and it was always right on time.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
giving encouragement to each other is very important.
Yes, absolutely. And it doesn't matter what age because you reached
Right.
out to the woman who was at the hospital who was older than you.
Yes.
And I'm sure you met people younger
Yes, I
than
have.
you that were
Mhm.
struggling with an illness or something.
Yes.
So thank you for just sharing, and I'm just so grateful that you're here, that God
Yes.
answered prayer, and how wonderful your husband is.
Yes.
I mean, this book is, like I said, you don't hear from the
No, no.
spouses, but I know he cares deeply for
Yes.
you, your boys as well, but your
Yes.
husband,
Yes.
it's
The nurses, they just could not fathom someone that would take care of their wife like that, like
hmm
he did. Uh,
hmm
and you in the book or on the book cover, you see when I lost all my hair, he went in the bathroom, shaved all his hair off, and he doesn't have a lot of hair, but what hair he had, he shaved off so he could be bald when I was bald. And we were in it together. It was my fight, but he was fighting just as hard as I was. And I would not have made it without him. And I would not have made it. I don't know how people face those kind of challenges without God. Because I had hope. I knew if this sickness took me out that I was going to go to heaven. I had hope. But someone who doesn't, I don't know how they make it without the Lord.
hmm
And he's just so faithful to me. And I want to give him all the praise and the glory.
yeah, everything. And I loved your quote, the old school doctors.
Yes, he really was. He doesn't even accept like insurance. It's
Oh,
either private pay and he keeps it real low. We went back to him and thanked him later because he was just he was a doctor that really cared. And we went back and told him, what the diagnosis was. We thanked him for sending us to the ER because there's
hmm
no telling how long it would have been in the process. God used him. He was a Christian man. God used him to speed things up to get where we needed to be so I could get treatment immediately. This is amazing because leukemia usually shows in your blood.
okay.
Leukemia was not showing in my blood.
Oh,
Wherefore, I felt that meant it was probably in the very early stages. Although I had been sick for many months, I feel like it was, at a good stage to be treated. And I
hmm
feel like God had a hand in every bit of that. He knew what he was doing,
yeah.
and just every
Wow.
step of the way, he knew what he was doing.
He did,
He
and
did.
he does.
Yes, he does.
He does.
I don't
Even
know if you want me to give that information for the book. You tell
please,
me. Yeah.
yes. How
So
can
you,
they get it? And the other website that
yes.
Mike is
So you
on.
can get the book on Amazon. It's on Amazon. It's called Through the Storm. Or you can get it at a website. It's Michael, so it's Michael G, that's for his middle name, Groves, GROVES.com. So it's michaelggroves.com. And you can get it there or you can get it on Amazon. I think Amazon probably is a little quicker in getting it mailed, or
hmm
you can get it at his website there. But I feel like I've had many people tell me the book encouraged their faith, and that's what he wrote it for.
hmm
He wrote it for people that have felt just like him, hopeless in a situation, and their faith being tested. And then also for the person that may be dealing with sickness. We've tried to anybody that's reached out to us and has been sick, we tried to send them a book,
hmm
um, just so they'll be encouraged. And
hmm
but if it can encourage someone, it's worth it. So,
Yeah, that's what I love about you, and even today, the transparency.
Yes, yeah.
Um, God wants us to be that way
Yes.
because when we're transparent, people see that it's not us, it's God working through us.
Right.
And so Mike's book does the same thing. It's very transparent.
Yes.
And so I appreciate what you've shared. I appreciate your heart.
Yes, ma'am.
You're not shy.
I
Rhonda,
feel
you are
like
not
I
shy at all.
am. I feel
I
like I
think,
am. But when I get in my story, I feel like it's my story and nobody knows it like I know it and how I felt and how I've been there and I want to convey it like it really was,
yeah,
and I want people to know that God is the only reason that I've made it this far.
yeah, yeah.
And his
And it's a
faithfulness.
story that touches
Yes.
every age, because you've got children that are sick with cancer.
Right.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be cancer, but
It can
every
be
age
anything.
has a sickness.
Yes.
But every age needs the Lord.
Yes, they do.
Every
And
age.
that reminds me too of we were talking about crossing the barriers of age with women. If you can get people to church, my philosophy, you can get people to church, you can befriend them, but you can get them in the presence of the Lord. There is no, He'll meet you there. It don't matter what stage of life you're in, old,
Mhm.
young, He'll meet you there and can meet your needs. And that's what's so great about being a pastor's wife is I know that there's some things that I might not understand, but if I can encourage someone to get in the presence of the Lord, He does. And He'll meet you right where you're at. And I'm so thankful, that's what He's done for me. He's just been there, through sickness, through good days, bad days. He's just been faithful.
I'm just thinking in my mind how many seeds you've planted here in Georgia,
Yes, ma'am.
throughout Georgia, and now down in your new home.
Yes, ma'am.
You're
I'm
planting seeds.
trying. I'm trying.
No, but you are. I mean, just the fact that you've shared, even with the lady at the hospital,
Yes.
she probably went home and told somebody else.
Yes.
So you're planting seeds
Yes, and
in
I
the
have
lives.
tried. I wrote down her husband's name, and I've tried to get back in contact with her, and I for some reason just can't. And I thought, Lord, hopefully that was enough to encourage her because I would love to reach back out to her. She lives right here in the same town,
Mm-hmm.
and I would love to, but I did what I could
Mm-hmm.
in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about planting seeds, another ministry that I'm involved in is children's church, and I love children's work, and I've even used my testimony to them because they understand.
Mm-hmm.
And so right now I'm until someone else comes along and has the burden for it. I am doing children's church at our church,
Yeah.
and it's wonderful. It's wonderful to teach children, and so
Yes.
I'm planting some seeds at a very young age, but I'm hoping it will continue. So
Yeah. And that's something that we have to encourage each other with. We're not called to plant, water, and reap.
right.
We're in there somewhere.
Right, and God's gonna
So
send somebody else. Yes.
yes. So,
Yeah.
but you, like I said, you got lots of seeds floating around
Yes.
here. Well, thank you, Rhonda, for sharing your story. And I know for me, just hearing all of it, um, just the hand of God was definitely
Yes, ma'am.
on you. I mean, just carrying you from place to place to
Yes.
place, person to person, the right
Yes.
people.
Yes.
So it's all to His glory. And
Yes, it
I'm just
is.
so thankful that I'm putting eyes on you today for the
Yes.
first time. I
Yes.
saw you in the book, but
Yes.
but now I see you with a full head of hair.
Yes. I mean, He's just blessed me. People can't get over the hair, and a lot of people that haven't seen me in a while, they'll say, Is all that your hair? And I was like, yes, it's all my hair. God has blessed me with, He's blessed me, more than I had. It's my hair's different. But He's just blessed me, just the blessings of the Lord.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm so grateful to be on your program, and hopefully it will be used to encourage someone. And
Well, you
thank you
encouraged
for
me.
having me. Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, I'm not done yet because as we spoke about ages,
Mhm.
I would like to know your definition of the word ageless. What do you think ageless is?
Ageless.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I can put it into words. I just think, I'm not sure what I think ageless means. I just think, I know when God looks at us, he doesn't see an age at all. And no, a number to him is nothing. And I also feel that a number means nothing to being used of God.
Mm,
Young, old, if you've given your heart to the Lord and you ask, I try to pray each morning, put somebody in my path, and I don't always leave my house each day, but put somebody in my path that I can encourage today. Maybe they need something. Speak to me to speak something to them, and I don't think doing things like that there's an age.
mm,
You can do that. People when they get, I feel like when women get older and they're in that group where they feel like they can't do anything anymore. My grandmother right now, she just got moved into a nursing home, and she talks to me sometimes about, yeah, this season of life. But then she'll say, but I talked with a nurse, or I said, yep, God can use you right where you are, no matter your age. I think she's 80, I think she's going to be 87, her birthday. And
wow.
so God is using her at 87, to keep spreading his gospel. You say, well, no, she's confined to a home. She can't go nowhere. She can't. No, God is using her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the word ageless in scenarios like that, it really doesn't matter. You can be used of God. God can use you no matter your age.
Mm, I
And
love it.
and and I'm glad that you are inspiring women young and old.
Oh,
And
thank you.
that's a great ministry you
You're
have
very
to
kind.
to, to make people of all age feel important.
Well, I'm glad
And
you're part of this.
yes.
You're on the journey now.
Yeah. Yeah, and the devil will sometimes tell you, "Oh, you can't help this person because you can't relate to them." But that is a lie.
Hmm.
God created us, and like I said, I don't think he looks at age.
Yeah.
He created us to be where we're at, doing what we're doing in this space of life that we have. Seasons.
Hmm.
I testified at church, and the seasons of life, we're all in a different season right now. Maybe you're an empty nester, or you're alone, your husband's passed away, you're a widower, or there's just many seasons of life, but I feel like God can use you no matter your age, no matter where you're at in life. And I just want to be available
That
so that
was
he can use
wonderful.
me.
That
I'm
was
sorry, I don't feel like I gave a good definition of
Rhonda.
ageless,
That was perfect.
but
That was God gave you what you were supposed to say.
yeah, thank you.
Perfect, perfect. Now I've got a fun question for you.
Okay.
If you were a spice, which one would you be, and how would you encourage women to live life with excitement, knowing that God is everything, just directing their steps, and He cares and loves them?
If
How
I
would you
was
do that?
if I was a spice, I would like to think I would be cinnamon.
Okay.
Um, it's somewhere in the middle, not too sweet, not too, but added to something sweet, it just it just makes the world of difference to something. And just last week, I used some cinnamon in some green tea, and it just
Ah,
made the world's difference to me. And
I've never tried that.
yes, it made a difference to me. It helped. So I would like to think I'm cinnamon and that I can add something to your life by being involved in it. And to the person that is, needing encouraging, uh, like I said earlier, just to bloom where you're planted. Um, Whatever your call, you say, well, I don't have a calling, I don't have anything I can do. You do. And there's something you can do that nobody else can do. And I think when you find who you are in the Lord, that is when you really find true potential and what you're meant to be. And God can use you. And hopefully, I'm can be cinnamon in somebody's life. That's what I hope to be. I want to be passionate about what I believe, and I want others to know that. I feel like to believe in something is nothing if you're not passionate about it. And I
Mm,
want to be passionate about what I believe, and I want to encourage other women to do the same.
mm,
You make a difference, and some people look at, and I know we are the weaker vessel. I know I'm the weaker vessel, but that doesn't mean I can't be used.
mhm,
And God used women all throughout the Bible, and He can use you. Just look for your calling, be the best you can be at what you are,
mhm.
and God can use that. So
Rhonda, this was fantastic.
thank you.
I am so thankful that you came on, that you said yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm thankful that you shared your story. But above all, I'm thankful that you're still here
Yes, ma'am.
to sprinkle seeds.
Yes.
And so when I journey down that way, I have to hook up with you. We
Yes.
have to get together so I can try your cinnamon with tea or whatever
Yes.
you said.
Yes, I put it in green tea. Now for sweetener in my green tea, I put honey. So that's a
Oh,
little bit of the sweetener, but I just sprinkle cinnamon in it, and some people don't like cinnamon. I have a son, my oldest son, he does not like cinnamon. So
oh, oh,
so he wouldn't like my choice of saying
oh.
what I'm gonna do, but he does eat things with it in it. He just don't know it, you know what I'm saying? So I think it just did a little bit for the tea to make it be more desirable.
Oh, okay.
That's what I want to be. I want to make, some people look at Christians as a dull, boring life. It's not that way.
No.
When you're living your full potential in Jesus, life is fun. Life has all kinds of experiences, and I want that to show in the life I live. That I'm content, I'm happy in the Lord, and that He spared me for a reason,
Hmm.
and I want to live in that reason and show others.
Well, you definitely do. And you have such a
Thank you.
joyful spirit. And
Thank
thank you
you.
so much. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for being with me today.
Yes, ma'am.
You were a joy. You are a joy. And I can't wait to meet you in
Yes.
person.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Rhonda, for being
Thank you.
here. Hey, my friend. Thanks for joining me today on Ageless and for being an amazing part of this journey. Don't forget, you have been fearfully and wonderfully made. Go out today and live this life vibrantly. Until next time, bye for now.